Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We are live. Back with another one. Back at it with another one. So a couple of things that we're going to talk about in this live stream, okay? A lot of real important topics in the world of boxing, but also in the world of MMA. Now understand, before I begin, there's going to be a boxing-centric element to this particular conversation, which is okay because I've always professed that MMA and boxing are cousin sports of each other. In fact, boxing is the compository sport of MMA, and as such, they go hand in hand in a way where, yes, you can talk about MMA as a separate topic, as a separate sport, but really, they are close and tied in with each other based on history, based on influence. Okay, because you got to understand, before MMA was MMA, MMA was called Vale Tudo. And it was only the influence of boxing where they put on rounds, where they put on fight events, time limits. Obviously, that's what rounds are. But also the championship belt element of it. Right? Usually, I believe, from UFC 1, it was a tournament format. Now, it's more of a prize fighting situation. But all in all, when it comes to MMA and boxing, it's synonymous with combat sports, prize fighting, and to me, it's all the same. I'll tell you this, boxing and MMA are the same culture. They are only different in the night of the fight and the rules that you have to abide by. You understand? Let me repeat that again. MMA and boxing are the same culture. The only difference is the rules that they abide by in the night of the fight. That's really all there is to it. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about Manny Pacquiao and how many people are saying he looks great in the gym. But does the gym really translate into real fighting? And we're going to talk about that. Toxic Gameplay says, bro, that haircut is hitting right now. Shout out to Toxic Gameplays right now. Thank you, brother. You know, it's good to have long hair. It's nice to, you know, kind of enjoy a little bit of the waves and, you know, playing with your hair and all of that. All of that is good, right? But overall, it's great to have shorter hair too. You feel a little bit free, right? And sometimes there is that aspect of self-consciousness, you know, when you're getting a little bit older, and sometimes when your hairline is, you know, going back a little bit. But then there's also a level of acceptance that comes with that as well, right? A sense of being free. But on any regard, Toxic Gameplay says Mario Barrios might hurt Manny bad. I agree, and we're going to talk about that. Toxic Gameplay says it's too hot for that ish. Yeah, having long hair is it is a little bit too hot, especially right now in California. It's good right now at 78, but as you would imagine, in the mid-afternoon or so, it gets a little bit hotter. So, Baseball Kids, all right, shout out to you, my man. He says hi. CJ Davery says hi. Toxic Gameplays, this summer will be over 100 degrees easy. That's right. Just like last summer as well. There was a lot of 100-degree heat as well during the summer. And I don't think it's going to be that different in this summer as well, right? Some people call it global warming. But I don't know. Every summer has always been hot. So I don't know. We would have to look at real metric and data to really, to sort of give that a real sense of a diagram or long-term research and whatnot. But yeah, Saul asks, do you love MJ? Well, it's, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's all right. Obviously, I live in California, right? So, I'll put it like that, Saul. Saul, let me know what part of the world you are from, brother, and everyone around the world. Don't forget to tap in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're going to talk about some important topics, such as Manny Pacquiao. He looks great in the gym, but does it really mean that it's going to translate well in the ring? And my answer is nope. I'm going to tell you right now, right? There's a lot of guys that look great in the gym. They look very fast. They look very strong. But there's an aspect of recovery. There's an aspect of also explosion. But then there's also the aspect of strength. Yes, I know that strength is the last thing to go and this and that. But they're talking about heavyweights, not guys that are 147 pounders. Right? Yes, there is a certain level of strength that you do keep when you get older, but that is because when you're a heavyweight, you just tend to get heavy as you get older. And therefore, the strength comes along with it, and also a little bit of the muscle mass that comes with the ump of you hitting someone and all of that, right? But 47, and where you're at a weight class where you rely a lot on your speed as well as your strength, but realistically, a lot of Manny's strength comes from his speed. The fact that he's able to punch hard. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look at Derek Lewis, right? He really punches hard, okay? But he doesn't punch fast, and he's not fast at all. In fact, he has a serious lack of explosion. And you know what? To some point, Derek Lewis even suffered low testosterone levels, mind you, as one of the hardest hitting heavyweights. Okay, he was tested to have one of the lowest testosterones ever. I mean, I don't know who to measure to, but it was pretty low for somebody that was a UFC heavyweight and somebody who is considered to be a serious knockout artist, to the point where Francis Ngannou was being very hesitant with him in that fight. Saul says, I am from northeastern USA. All right, shout outs to that. Saul says, too much of a good thing is always bad, man. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You got to have a sense of balance when it comes to those things, right? So I see exactly what you mean by that. Toxic Gameplay says, only think we can smoke here is haters in a chat. Haha, we've definitely done quite a few of that. Right? Manny will definitely look 46 in there. I agree. Saul says, I smoke MJ from time to time. Well, I tell you what, I hope that you, well, I mean, I don't want to encourage anything, but I always said that I want to create content that people can or drink coffee to. You understand what I'm saying? And please, I need you guys to understand that YouTube guidelines sort of prohibits you from promoting anything or anything like that. So therefore, if you do, you know, you can't get monetized or this and that. So I just try to, you know, kind of remain careful. But put it like this. I want to create content where you can sit back, relax, and drink coffee. You know what I mean? And I know you know exactly what I mean. That's what I aim to do. That's why I thought, you know what, how can I make such an interesting type of MMA channel, right? Everybody's already talking about MMA. Well, why not throw some mix into boxing with it, on top of street stuff, on top of geopolitics and things that deal with religion? Now we're cooking, now we're talking, and we got something a little bit different than what everybody can bring to the table. Toxic Gameplay says, bro, I legit drink coffee and eat bagel to your live. All right, man, that's what I'm talking about. And then we got Marty Miller 65. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Glad to be here. Glad to be with you guys right now as we talk about why Manny Pacquiao is going to age very fast in the night of Mario Barrios. Also, the Tyson Fury return. And how about this? People are petitioning Jon Jones to be stripped of the title. I don't know if you guys have seen this floating around somewhere. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Man, I tell you what, I have worked for petition companies before. Things dealing with political petitions and things of that nature, sometimes even registering people to vote. Yes, I've had experience with these things, right? And I thought that petitions were only for something that of a serious matter. Well, now all of a sudden, Jon Jones being stripped of the title seems to be a very serious matter at hand as well. And I tend to agree. I think there is an element of that I think is warranted, right? Or we really are just being played behind the scenes and we don't know, and they're going to announce those fights later on, right? It could go one way or the other. And I need you to understand, I'm not going to act definitive on it one way or the other. All these other channels out there are becoming like really definitive in their opinions and takes on this matter. Oh yeah, Jon Jones is scared. We're just going to stick with that. Oh yeah, Jon Jones really has a contract negotiation going on, and then they just stick with that. Oh yeah, Jon Jones is being used as a pawn in order to garner more attention from different corporate sponsors and different broadcast partners that the UFC can re-sign with. Those are all true. Some of those are true, and then some of those are a little bit in between. You can't stick to only one of those particular conclusions. Marty Miller says, I agree with stripping Jones if he not going to schedule a fight. He's kind of saying he's retired too. Yeah, that is something that a lot of the naysayers, or what I would call just the natural Jon Jones haters, will stick with, right? But there's more to it than that. Is that true? Yes, that could be true. But maybe what if Jon Jones is really leveraging them for money? And you can't act like you know one way or the other, because look at Holly Holmes, bro. Holly Holmes, shout outs to her, got signed by MVP, going back to boxing after years in the UFC. She was originally a boxing champion, went into the UFC, won UFC titles, now back into boxing again, right? She was asked during the Ariel Helwani interview, if you happen to know whether Jon Jones is going to fight or retire or not. You know what she said? She said, I don't know. I really don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know. And this is a person that trains with Jon Jones. That's what's even crazy about this, right? She trains with Jon Jones, and she doesn't act like she knows, because the truth is we don't know. Only Jon knows, but once again, there is no real definitive facts going on here as of yet, right? So we really have to take that into consideration. So more on that for a second, right? We're going to jump around these particular topics, right? Now, I'm going to go into a technical breakdown of why I don't think Manny Pacquiao is going to look good in the night of his fight. And simply because of the Ugas performance, that is literally what I'm basing this whole entire hypothesis off of. Because the Ugas fight was telling. You know who spanked Ugas? Mario Barrios. And then we're going to go into this fight. Think about this. We're going into this fight knowing that he got spanked. Okay? By a guy that he is now taken on. Ugas got spanked by Mario Barrios? Yeah, he did. And now they're going to have this fight. Toxic Gameplay says Manny is lucky he's not fighting Boots. You know what? So here's the thing, right? Manny is not going to fight Boots. He will not fight Terrence Crawford. He will not fight Errol Spence. He won't even fight Errol Spence after Errol Spence is badly damaged from the car crash and also as a result of the Terrence Crawford fight. So he will never touch that. What he will do is he will fight Mario Barrios. Why? Because he knows that he could try his luck with him. All right. I'm going to give you an example in the streets, right? A street example of this. Something that I've experienced myself, just having beef or funk with just any random people that I should not name mention, right? I mean, like real legit street people or people that are just bozos on top of it, right? Just a little bit of everything. There's guys that have called me out on some real gangster stuff on the street before, right? Hey, show up for this or this and that. I think you're a punk ass, this and that. Or, you won't do this or you won't do that. Lo and behold, I'm the one that goes and pulls their punk card. Okay? Well, all right, let's meet at a place then. Let's get down. Oh, no. Now all of a sudden, they realize that I'm really willing to get down. I'm really willing to meet in these places, and they don't end up doing it. So the fact that they don't end up doing it, then what? They end up going and trying their luck with somebody else in the streets. That's a pecking order. Every person in the streets, every gangster, every street dude has done this, including myself. Do you not think there are people out there that I will just not mess with? People that I know that are like, wow, okay, you know what? Maybe this is off limits, or maybe it's not worth being disrespectful to this guy, and he's not disrespectful towards me either. But if somebody disrespects you, then yeah, you have to go after them right away, because then your reputation is on the line. That is if you care about these things, right? Well, why am I saying this example? Manny Pacquiao is exactly that guy. Manny Pacquiao knows that he can't take Boots Ennis, but he thinks that he can take Mario Barrios. Now, what is Mario Barrios, though? Mario Barrios is myself when I call punk cards on these guys and I actually show up, and then they realize that they're ill-prepared for whatever it is that they have to deal with right there on the spot. Right? Outmanned, outgunned, out whatever. Outshined at everything, at every metric possible. Now they realize they're way over their heads. That's where Manny Pacquiao is at. He's way over his head. He thought, you know what? Out of everybody that's a champion, and I want to be world champion. Also, I want to delve into the psychology of his team. And this is going to shock the living heck out of you. I'm going to read the comments right now, and then we're going to talk about the team psychology of Manny Pacquiao, because we often hear just about the boxer. Sometimes we hear about the team, but have any of you ever really heard of Manny Pacquiao and his team? I have a little bit of an understanding of his team, because let me just say this, right? There's one guy in his camp that's always showing up back in the days, at least during the Morales, during the what was that guy's name? The Margarito fight, the Oscar De La Hoya fight. He was always there in cameo, full force in front of the camera right after Manny Pacquiao was in the ring, right? And you've seen Dana White always complain about how boxing always has a lot of these bozos that just show up in the ring uninvited for whatever reason and just fills up the ring, right? He's one of them. I'm going to give you some team psychology on this guy. This guy owns like a zoo in the Philippines, right? Well, let me just say that I know somebody that knows him. Let's just put it like that, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example of Manny Pacquiao's team. Okay, so let me read these comments first. Manny is like he's not fighting. Okay, he beat Keith Thurman and Keith beat Mario. Okay, that's a pretty good boxing math there. Toxic Gameplay says they be selling wolf tickets. Correct. So I made a video about Manny Pacquiao maybe about a week ago or so, right? And I called him an old delusional idiot, and I stand by that. The reason why I think he's an old delusional idiot is because he has a lot of yes men around him. Now, is Manny Pacquiao very good? Is he very talented? Of course. So when you have somebody that's that good and that's talented, there's really not much you can tell him. And by the way, everything that I just said right now also relates to Tyson Fury in his particular story, but Tyson Fury and Manny Pacquiao are two different animals right now, and I think Tyson Fury coming back would have a better outcome than Manny Pacquiao, and that would all depend on the matchmaking on the part of Tyson Fury. But back to Manny Pacquiao. Many of his team, a lot of these guys are yes men. Many of them come from the poor parts of the Philippines, and as a result of that, none of them want to lose their jobs. So, of course, everything is, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, yeah, poor imitation of a Filipino accent, but you know what I mean. Everything is yes, sir, no, ma'am, and everything in between, and, whatever his family says, whatever he says, whatever his wife says, whatever his own mom says, if she's even, has any say-so in his camp. Nobody can tell Manny Pacquiao anything, and because he's naturally talented, you often don't think there's anything wrong. But he does have skills. When he was younger, he's no longer a young man, he does have a lot of tenacity, a lot of toughness in him. But sorry to tell you, toughness dries out at a certain age, no matter who you are, right? And even worse, that you're close to 50, right? You're not even early 40s. Look, yeah, he did great against Keith Thurman at 40, but that's at 40. It's a little bit different when you're 46 in the lower weight classes, and I just don't think that the lower weight classes have anything to offer for older men, right? Because here's the thing, right? Toxic Gameplay says this is like Mike Tyson and and his yes men. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of yes men going on with Manny Pacquiao. Look, remember that. Remember the psychology behind that, right? All of his staff come from the Philippines. And why is that? Because, well, obviously these are people that he's met and people that he's went to school with or grew up with. So they are going to be by his side because Manny Pacquiao feels safe around them. And also there's aspect of a savior's complex going on. And I'm not here to deteriorate Manny Pacquiao's sense of integrity or somehow call him out for virtue signaling or this and that. Although there are elements of that, right? But at the same time, he is pressured within that social contract to obligate himself to help these people in any kind of way possible. And on top of that, these people, let's be honest, okay, a lot of them don't have many opportunities in their parts of the world. You understand? There's not a lot of opportunities in the Philippines. I don't care what other people show you in their TV vlogs or their YouTube vlogs or this and that. I've been to the Philippines. I know people who go back and forth to the Philippines till this day, and they tell me what's going on, and the poverty there is absolutely horrendous. And it is a reason why people are going to take economic opportunities at any particular cost that they can find. And this is also the reason why you see a lot of people become mail order brides out of that country. And then on top of the fact that many of them will do insane and desperate things, even as far as selling their kids in order to make money. Okay, this is the reality of that country. So how much more that you work for Manny Pacquiao, right? Are you going to tell Manny Pacquiao, hey, man, I don't think this is a good idea? Well, why would you tell him it's a good idea? Guess what? If he gets paid in that fight, you get paid in that fight. So why are you going to stop him from doing so? Okay, but you know what? This is dangerous for him. And then on top of that, listen, I want to be very forgiving for these people that are around him, right? Because maybe some of them are not real boxing people, but what about the real boxing people that are around him? What about the Filipino coaches that are around him that are boxers or were former boxers and are trainers now? Should you not know better? Should you understand how the sport goes and how all of this works? Or are you just trying to make money? So it's not the fault of his maids. It's not the fault of his mechanic. It's not the fault of his assistant or whoever that is that works for him in his congressional office in the Philippines. And that's another thing too. You got to remember, he's been a congressman all this time, right? He's been serving and working for the Filipino government. So in other words, yeah, now there's another job. And I know a lot of people are saying something to the effect of like, yeah, man, you know what? Manny Pacquiao, is keeping a good balance or this and that. Or not only is he keeping a good balance, he's hiring people to do his work for him. I don't know about that. Because you know what? Here's another thing I want to say about Manny Pacquiao. No matter whether I like him or not, or whatever criticism I have towards him, understand this, man. That guy, he really means what he says, and he really stands on what he stands on. So I think that he would actually really put the time and effort to work as a congressman. Toxic Gameplay says, no disrespect, but Freddie Roach looks weak right now. That's correct. Toxic Gameplay says, I remember that sick mother effer in the Philippines, like Peter Scully. Who's Peter Scully again? Remind me who that is, by the way. But Is that one of Manny's guys, or is that a reference to something? Remind me who that is. But yeah, man, there's just a lot going on here, right? So he has yes men. They don't want to tell him what's up. And then on top of that, they really don't want to lose any of the money that they could make off of him fighting. And that's another thing too, right? If you're incentivized to help Manny go through a camp, are you honestly going to tell him, hey, look, no, this is not a good idea? You know who I'm friends with? Who I'm personal friends with on the phone that I could call right now? Eric Trilogy. You guys know who that is? He's the nutritionist for Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and also for Conor McGregor, right? As insane as that is. Like, that is a fact. Like, not too many people can say that in a sentence and say that in actuality and within full-blown seriousness, right? It's very difficult to say that with a straight face and not lie. But him, it's a truth. It's an actual truth. It's in his resume. And during the inauguration, when McGregor and the Paul brothers took a picture, he said, oh, look, my 3 clients are in the inauguration together. Okay, so why I'm mentioning that is because Eric has told me plenty of times when he was working with UFC fighters how there were certain guys that he was helping knowing that they would lose. I'm like, well, why don't you try and stop them from fighting these people? He said, well, why am I going to do that when I can make money? You know, they want to fight, right? It's their choice that they want to fight. So I'm just there to help facilitate them make weight, right? I mean, is that the worst thing in the world, that you're out trying to help people make weight? That's all that he's doing. So that's the way that he looks at it. So that's why I say, you know, it's kind of hard to blame his staff for this and that. But then again, you know, you got to understand, Eric is a fighting guy too, right? You know, he trains jiu-jitsu. He understands the sport. That's why I say all these other people that are in Manny Pacquiao's camp, you know, man, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? So now, let's get to the next topic. We can go back to Manny Pacquiao again. But next topic up is Tyson Fury. Is he going to return and fight for the belt once again? Who knows? But first, he has to get through an opponent first. Not only that, his dad is telling him he needs to go on a physical strength training regiment. Okay? So they gave him, they gave him the death penalty. Okay. Oh, okay, so that's, okay, the Philippines gave him a death penalty? Is that the reference that you are referring to on Toxic Gameplays? Let me know. But on any regard, now, so Tyson Fury's dad said he needs to go and have a better strength training regimen, because he's got the boxing part down, but he needs to have a little bit of strength. And I agree with him. He said that there's lack of muscle in the body of Tyson Fury. He's absolutely right about that. I know that it's cute to say, oh, you know what? You got a dad bod, but at the same time, you're the best boxer in the world. But in reality, what you need to do is go out there and give yourself the best opportunity in terms of being physically fit, in terms of having the right strength, in terms of having the right cardio. I mean, Tyson Fury does have the right cardio. He obviously has a great boxing IQ to go along with that. He's got great speed for a heavyweight. He just needs to have that strength. And this is the reason why Francis Ngannou was able to look as good as he did against him. I want you to think about that, right? Francis Ngannou is a strong guy, brute power, that showed in the fight. But what didn't show in the fight, was the power from Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury had the skills, he had the high IQ when it comes to the boxing, has great general's ringsmanship, understands the ins and outs of the ring, knows when to move, knows when to defend himself, knows when to block, knows when to dodge and, place his head in the right places. But he doesn't have the strength and the physicality of Anthony Joshua. As for Francis Ngannou, he didn't have the skills, so he got beat. But he did do good. So now, Francis Ngannou fights Anthony Joshua, who has both. That is why he was able to put him out early. And I think that if Tyson Fury early in his career, he would have absolutely knocked out way more people than he did. Right? I mean, obviously he was able to knock out Deontay Wilder, but people are saying, well, Deontay Wilder is a knockout artist and this and that. And he was able to knock out the knockout artist. Well, that's because he had size over him. And you know what? Size over Deontay Wilder is not the same as possibly having more size over Anthony Joshua at 6'7", while Joshua stands at 6'5". Right? Now you could be 6'7" with not only long reach, but also a great physique in terms of being able to have strength and utilize it. Utilize it in the clinches, utilize it by having more knockout power. And you know what? Here's the thing, man. A lot of British boxers, I'm going to tell you something shocking, like doing a lot of strength training. At least the boxing side, not the MMA side. Obviously, there's a lot of English and British MMA fighters that hit the weight room, that do, put up numbers in the squat room, in the rack room, and things of that nature. But at the same time, in the boxing side, many of them, are not really with that. What did my man Ryan here say? He said, you're literally saying nothing. You're saying all this stuff that literally everyone already knows. Okay, so what exactly is your point then, Ryan? Explain to me exactly what your point is. When you're talking about how everybody is saying something that everyone already knows. Because here's the thing, right? When you do MMA content, oh, yeah, it's the Toxic Gameplay says, see, I didn't know that. Yeah. Look, man, Ryan, unfortunately, what you are is just somebody that's just very negative. I don't know what it is with people that like to come in on chats and say negative things. You know what? Here's the thing, right? I'm not going to lie. I used to be one of those people that came in chats saying negative things. Let's be honest. Every one of us has done that at some point. Or, I don't know, I mean, maybe you haven't, and if you haven't, then you're absolutely a better man than me. But I'm not going to pretend that I've never done that, and I've done that. And I'm going to ask myself, why did I do that, right? Because I want to understand your mindset. I want to understand the mindset of people. Or, you know what, to be fair, maybe Ryan is just trying to say something that is of constructive criticism, right? Because, listen, if you want to be the best MMA YouTuber in the world, you got to understand and know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what ticks for some people and what doesn't tick for some people, what moves the needle and what doesn't. I think that's important to know, right? But I don't know, Ryan. I don't know if what place you're coming from, and that's another thing too. When you're online, you don't really know what place somebody is coming from when they say certain things. So all right, next topic at hand, right? Yeah, just a little recap on the Tyson Fury topic. So he basically just needs a little bit more strength training. We know that he is a little bit chubby in certain areas and this and that. Look, it's not the strength training that a lot of you bro heads are thinking. Right? A lot of you are saying, oh, you know what? We already know this. We already know that that's what everybody says, that he's a fat ass or this and that, and he needs to have a better physique. No, that ain't even what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you need to have functional pattern training in what it is that you do. Right? You need to train in a certain type of conditioning or a certain type of CrossFit that is fitting to the sport that you are doing. And I just don't think that or this and that is just going to do it. It's just regard going into the Jon Jones conversation. Really important conversation here with Jon Jones, right? Many people right now are calling for Jon Jones to be stripped of his title. Do you agree with this? Do you agree that Jon Jones needs to be stripped of his title? Yes, Toxic Gameplay says plyometrics. Obviously, these are, things you've seen me do in the live stream. So a little bit of a demonstration on that, because if I just went on an MMA page and just started I'm going to do plyometric workouts that are specific to combat sports, MMA, and everything in between. So yeah, that is what he needs to work on and what he needs to do in order to have better punching power in the game of boxing, because it's not so much of the footwork that Tyson Fury is lacking. He has a lot of it. It's not the IQ and the boxing IQ and the ring's generalmanship of Tyson Fury that is lacking. It is only strength and power that he needs to improve his power shots, and maybe even a little bit of his durability too, right? And just, yeah. But okay, Jon Jones, right? I think a lot of people are going through a Jon Jones fatigue right now, okay? You guys know what is that term? Something fatigue, right? And it's a racial element that goes into it. Well, now people are having a little bit of that with Jon Jones, right? They're having a Jon Jones fatigue. Now, once again, is it right to strip him right now, right? Is it right to have the petition being drawn out in order to, man, let me tell you, if Jon is really going to fight Tom Aspinall, I promise you guys, this will make that fight even bigger. I mean, there's no way around it. It's going to make the fight just even bigger. Now, why would it not get any bigger? I mean, considering the fact that it's on high demand. On top of that, now people are throwing a petition to make it happen. I mean, that's crazy. They're talking about a petition? I mean, who petitions fights? Look, I told you guys, right? I've done work in petitioning before, but that was on the political, side of things, right? That was people trying to get certain bills passed or register people to vote. Okay, there's something a little more serious on that, but not for Jon Jones being stripped. I mean, that is a serious thing for people to call on. But again, it really kind of proves the fatigue that many people have over Jon Jones, and this is the side effects of it. They want definitive answers. They want a real world champion, and then on top of that, Francis Ngannou is the real world heavyweight champion if you think about it. Okay, all politics aside with the different promotions and all of that, Jon Jones is not the real heavyweight champion, and that in and of itself really just, I don't know, man, that annoys a lot of people. That annoys a lot of people already. And now, Francis Ngannou, who never lost the belt. But I will argue, by losing to Anthony Joshua in between that, including even just losing to Tyson Fury, yes, on points, not an MMA fight, but still on points, I still would argue it doesn't look good. It's not a good looking, it's not a good outlook, man. For being a world heavyweight champion of MMA. Now look, I know Conor McGregor, Never got stripped after the Floyd Mayweather fight, right? At least not right away, but eventually he got stripped. That was the right thing to do. He lost to Floyd and he never stayed active and this and that. But at some point, I guess you got to change the guard, right? You got to have different people in there. So, man, I don't know, man. I don't think people are happy with Jon Jones being champion also. They're not. I've always mentioned this about the George St. Pierre topic, right? I've told you guys this about the George St. Pierre topic. Let me see this guy. Who is this guy? Okay. Sorry about that. Had to read something there a little bit. Yeah, man. So, okay, what was I saying? Okay, this is what I was saying. People are really upset that Jon Jones is champion for a multitude of reasons, right? Take George St. Pierre. I've mentioned the George St. Pierre angle before, right? The George St. Pierre angle was that he was champion after he beat Michael Bisping, but people never really forced him to take the hard fights because people were enjoying the fact that George St. Pierre was champion. And you want to know why? It's really as simple as this. George St. Pierre is a nice guy, and Jon Jones has built himself up a real bad reputation over the years. As a result of that bad reputation that he's built over the years, unfortunately, Jon Jones has become a very disliked person, especially in the MMA world. Look, here's another element that I think I'm going to bring up that I never wanted to bring up, right? Well, actually, you know what? I don't mind bringing this subject up. Look, I'm going to be honest. A lot of you hate Jon Jones because he is BLACK. Let's be honest about that, okay? This is the reason why a lot of you hate Jon Jones. I know that Jon Jones is a scumbag, but so is Conor McGregor. And I don't like to compare people, well, with the about-isms, and it's like, well, you know, this guy did this, but what about this guy? Or I hate that. I really hate that because you know what? It's an emotional fallacy when you do that. It's an absolute emotional fallacy. But I do like to analyze things, though, right? And one of the things that I analyze about the world of MMA is that it's very white-centric based when it comes to, let's say, political ideas, political leanings, also the culture behind it. There's just a lot of that going on, right? The majority demographics that are interested in MMA, I think you guys would agree, are WHITE. Like, you guys would agree with that, right? The majority of people that watch MMA are WHITE. Like, you understand, right? You know why? Well, I don't know why. I mean, that could be a multitude of reasons, but I could take a guess. I just think that there is an element of wrestling in MMA that, quite frankly, if you live in America, best wrestling that you get are usually from places that come from WHITE towns. You understand? So there is that base. And then on top of that, obviously, there is a pro wrestling element that comes with MMA, a pro wrestling element of influence. So as a result of that pro wrestling element of influence, what you also get are people that are pro wrestling fans bleeding over as future or simultaneous wrestling, MMA, and pro wrestling fans. That's what you have going on. That's what you have going on. So don't you think that there's a little bit of an inherent bias towards Jon Jones in any kind of way? I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like, I know Jon Jones crashed into a car with a woman that was in a very precarious situation. I understand that. I understand that Jon did this. I understand that Jon did this in Las Vegas, which was very horrible, right? I mean, that's on the level of Cassie and Sean Combs, right? I mean, come on, man. I get it. That's really bad. All of that is bad. But let's be honest, man. Many of your heroes that have what I would say the complexion, the protection for the complexion, they sort of get a pass from those mishaps and ill-advised behavior. They get a pass off of that, don't you think? Now, I'm not saying that you should give a pass to Jon Jones, but I think the overwhelming hate for Jon Jones comes from, well, it's that. I really think it's that. Look, I understand if you're one of these people that says, well, I don't look at the world in that kind of lens. I don't look at the world through a lens of race. I understand. God bless you. I know that's how you feel. I know you're being genuine about that. I know you really mean that. I know that. But there's a lot of people out there that don't mean very well when it comes to that, right? Like, they really do have a certain inherent bias. There are people that have been raised around racist parents that sort of exhibit a certain idea. And you know what? Here's another thing, too, that I think is really important to understand, right? Everybody makes a big deal about racism to a certain degree. I get it, but you also got to understand, every group of people think that they are better than everyone else. That's just really what it is, right? As a collective, us Muslims, we're always going to think that we're better than you at certain aspects of life, at certain behavioral practices. I hope I'm not breaking any news to you guys, right? Like, you guys understand that this is how we do view ourselves. And not just Muslims, other groups. The Jews view themselves like that. The other Christian groups, all the different Christian sects, all the different tribes, ethnicities, nationalities, and anything that can divide us. I understand that, but by the end of the day, what really matters is our own individual merit, our own individual accomplishments, and what it is that we can do for other people, and also how we make others feel and how they can remember us. That is all that it really boils down to. But in the thick of it, there is always a lot of noise when it comes to conversations of race, tribalism, and things of that nature, right? So I get it. People are going to have an inherent bias, and unfortunately, they are rearing that ugly head in the world of MMA chats, right? They're sort of showing that in the world of MMA chats. Now, with Jon Jones, look, man, I honestly think there is a certain inherent bias from fans towards Jon Jones. I really believe that. If you don't believe that, well, I understand. I understand why you wouldn't believe that, because there have been a lot of things that Jon Jones did that sort of warranted him being in the position that he's at, in terms of being hated, in terms of people calling for him to get stripped. I mean, we're talking about a petition. But here's the thing, guys. Here's another thing I want to talk about with petitions. The UFC doesn't give a damn about your petitions. You know what I mean? That's as good as just, a piece of paper that you and your friend wrote on toilet paper and said, all right, this is our contract and how we're going to draw out this particular situation, right? Like, that's really all there is to it. Like, there is no, man, there's nothing definitive about that petition. It's bravado signaling at best. And you people have to understand that. But the symbolic gesture of it really shows that people have had enough fatigue of Jon Jones as champion, and they've had enough fatigue of Jon Jones as a sitting champion that is not defending his belt. And if he is defending his belt, he's defending it in weird situations. Cyril gone. not anybody that really has well-rounded skills, and he showed that. He took him down in the first round and submitted him. How about Stipe Miocic? We knew that was going to happen. Stipe was old. He chose Stipe because he knew that it was the best time to go after Stipe Miocic, which was right now. But what about Tom Aspinall? Is he going to go after Tom Aspinall where everybody knows that he is the biggest challenge? Sure. That he can take Tom Aspinall. Look, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Of course, Jon Jones is going to take on Stipe Miocic because it's easy for him to do so. And he knew in the back of his mind that no one would really care off of this win. But you know what? Here's the other lesson that I want you guys to learn from this, right? It is your own accomplishment that is good enough for you and not by the measurement of everyone else. I need you guys to understand that about this Jon Jones situation, right? Your own accomplishments that you wish to accomplish are your own personal best that you wish to do, not anybody else's. You see, that's what's going on here. Jon is satisfied with being a two-weight champion, dominant in the light heavyweight division for a long time, somewhat dominant in the two heavyweight fights that he's had, depending on what your tolerance is of the particular level of competition. But that's what he's really just satisfied with. You're not satisfied with Jon Jones just beating Cyril Gane and Stipe Miocic. You're not. You want to see him take on Tom Aspinall. You want to see him slay dragons. You want to see him slay the English dragon in Tom Aspinall. Or better yet, you want to see Tom Aspinall slay him. That's what you want to see. Think about it. That's really what you want to see. Or you really want to see Jon fulfill greatness and go after Stipe Miocic. And that's my point that I'm trying to make, is that he does not care about the personal best that you wish to impose upon him. He cares about the personal best that he wishes to impose on himself. And I think we got ourselves a good topic for the bonus round. The bonus round of the stream, where I exhaust all of my particular topics on the set of topics that I set in the beginning of the live stream and onto the description down below, and maybe piggyback off of those particular topics as a life lesson, or maybe talk about random things that deal with life lessons on that particular matter, or something completely different. But here's the life lesson that we're going to learn from this, right? Your own personal best is your own personal best and not anybody else's. And that's the theme that we're going to take from the Jon Jones story right now. I'll give you an example, right? You guys ever met tiger mom type of families where they expect the kid, like, oh, you got to get straight A's all the time, or this and that, or if you don't have straight A's, then you're no good? You know what I'm talking about. There are certain cultures that sort of emphasize that particular type of way of living. And you know what type of culture that is. You know who that is, and you know who they are. Okay? There are certain cultures that emphasize that. Oh, you got a B? How you get a B? Why didn't you get an A? Okay, but I got an A minus. Okay, an A minus is good, but an A plus is even better. Next time, you got to get an A plus. You know those type of families. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so maybe those types of families, they want you to be a doctor. But guess what? Maybe you wanted to be a lawyer. Okay, that is their personal best that they want for you. They want you to be a doctor. They want you to be a doctor, but you don't want to be a doctor. And again, I'm speaking from a hypothetical scenario, right? This is a made-up scenario just to kind of give you guys an example. okay? But your personal best that you want is you want to be a lawyer. It's a little bit easier. It's cleaner. You don't have to be in the surgery room. You don't got to cut up no bodies. You don't got to deal with no blood. You don't got to deal with all types of fluids that you normally wouldn't deal with in a normal office type of job. So